Are there further amendments? Mr. Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move to en bloc Rogers Amendments 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7.
Mr. Chairman, I reserve a point of
The gentleman, first of all, ask unanimous consent that those amendments be considered in block, and without objection, that'll be the order. And I'll ask unanimous consent that all those amendments be considered as read, and without objection, that'll be the order. And the gentlelady from Colorado reserves a point of order on the en bloc amendment. And the gentleman from Michigan is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and just in the effort to speed this up, but at least to make at least the plea that we would do everything we possibly can not to take away from the FDA's core mission in slowing down for 1 minute, 1 day, or $1 their effort to get a new medicine or a virus through final determination if it will in fact better someone's life. And the amendments of which I have en bloc are and I'll just give you some examples, the HPV virus. There's some vaccines that they think they can help maybe as up to late 40s for women on HPV, which we know is one of the leading indicators that causes cervical cancer in women. Why we would jeopardize that determination now, of all times, when somebody may be that close to getting a cure is beyond me. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. That's why I think these amendments, if we work together, we can probably come to some sense of agreement. On pediatric cancer, childhood cancers are the #1 disease killer for children. Pediatric cancers are the #1 disease killer for children. And what this bill does is it may take away that $1, that 1 minute. And I know I've experienced this in my office where parents call up in just the most heart-wrenching pleas you can possibly imagine about, listen, this thing is in trial. Can you get me, we will take it out of the course of its determination. Please, this is our last effort to cure my son, my daughter, my wife. Will you please do it? And of course, the rules are pretty tight, and we can't do it. So what we're proposing is maybe we slow it down. It's not right for us to do that. It is just not right to do that. And we have the opportunity here to say, listen, these things are important. Pediatric cancer is important. HPV virus, if you're infected and you're 42 years old, is important. Breast cancer, colorectal cancer, arthritis. All of the amendments deal with these issues and say, let us not take $1, 1 minute, 1 ounce of time from one scientist who is making these determinations that may in fact save somebody's life. That's what we're saying. We know right now today that cigarettes are dangerous. That's why we're having this markup, and I thank you for it. And I voted for the bill last time in hopes we could work through some of these issues. And if we can get to that determination that we're not going to take away from any other disease, then I can be there. But right now I have real concerns, Mr. Chairman, and I would hope that we would consider this amendment in the spirit of which was intended, and we could get some bipartisan support of saying, let the scientists make cures. Put every dollar toward those cures of those people who are sick today. And we'll get to the cancer stuff. We're going to get there. We are. But let's make sure that nobody with cervical cancer doesn't have the opportunity, or at least preventative, with HPV vaccination, or somebody whose child has pediatric cancer doesn't have every effort spent every day with every resource making sure that the next round of disease, medicine, vaccines, whatever it is around to save that child's life. That's all we're saying. I hope we can work this out. I would urge the strong support of this amendment.
Chairman, I withdraw my reservation.
The reservation's withdrawn. Mr. Pallone?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I have to oppose the amendment. I mean, we've said many times this afternoon that your underlying bill will not divert resources away from any other important programs at FDA, like food safety or drug safety. It's fully funded by industry-paid user fees. None of the funding for the new Center for Tobacco will be taken away from existing FDA resources. Look, if we regulate tobacco in an effective way, it is preventative, and it may very well be that many cancers will be prevented. So I'm not trying to take away from what, you're trying to achieve by saying all these other things that are, both preventative vaccinations in other areas or drugs that will cure diseases that people already have are not important. But there's no reason to believe that what we're doing today would in any way inhibit those other applications from being approved. And in fact, just the opposite. It may very well be, in fact, I would say it's almost guaranteed, that by having this regulation of tobacco that's proposed by Mr. Waxman's bill will prevent a lot of cancers, maybe even some of the ones that you mentioned. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back his time. Are there further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to a vote on the en bloc Rogers Amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. The noes have it, and the amendment's not agreed to. We have a number of pending roll call votes, and that will take time. The rules require that 1/6 of the members present request a roll call vote along with you. Do members wish to have another roll call vote? Those who wish a roll call vote will raise your hand. A sufficient number. And without objection, if the gentleman would permit, this will be added to the list of others whereby we're going to have a roll call vote.
And if I may comment, Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Just 1 second. And one of the reasons I think you're seeing that we are trying to work with the bill and we hope make it better. We really haven't had the opportunity, and this has been a pretty rough start for trying to work together. And I know you've got your marching orders, and you got to do what you got to do, and you got your folks who aren't really participatory in amendments. But this is our only opportunity to do that. And the longer we don't get an opportunity to work for it, this is the only option that we have to allow other Americans have the right to petition their government. And we feel that's very, very important. So we don't mean to be dilatory. We're not trying to be a pain in your rear. But we do believe that everybody's voice, we may be accomplishing that, but we think and we believe that everybody's voice needs to have an opportunity to be heard in these bills. And thus far, we've seen, candidly, Mr. Chairman, just a really poor example of how you can work together on issues where we know we have common ground. And I don't even blame you. I think it's coming. I think that there's directions and orders that are laid down around this Congress that I think are probably detrimental.
I think the gentleman makes an excellent point. I was only questioning whether we wanted another roll call vote, but I do want to follow the regular order here. This was a bill that was considered in the last Congress and voted on by more than 2/3 of the House, and we're following the regular order.